Welcome to Life Happens YouTube channel. Today we have motivational quotes to make you not feel lonely and sad. Make sure you watch through for a surprise quote. Heartbreaking loneliness quotes when you feel sad. Remember, the time you feel lonely is the time you most need to be by yourself. Life's cruelest irony. Coupland. There are worse things than feeling alone. Things like being with someone and still feeling alone. M.W Poetry. There's nothing abnormal about loneliness. Paula Stokes. Loneliness is proof that your innate search for connection is intact. Beck. There's a special quality to the loneliness of dusk, a melancholy more brooding even than the nights. Gorman. Loneliness is such an omnipotent and painful threat to many persons that they have little conception of the positive values of solitude and even, at times, are frightened at the prospect of being alone. May. We live in such a lonely world because most days we wake up and decide to marry no one but ourselves. Christopher Poindexter. I'll never forget how the depression and loneliness felt good and bad at the same time. Still does. Henry Rollins. If you learn to really sit with loneliness and embrace it for the gift that it is, an opportunity to get to know you, to learn how strong you really are, to depend on no one but you for your happiness. You will realize that a little loneliness goes a long way in creating a richer, deeper, more vibrant and colorful you. Mandy Hale. Loneliness might be taking you towards an otherwise unreachable experience of reality. Olivia Lang. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. Let me tell you this, if you meet a loner, no matter what they tell you, it's not because they enjoy solitude. It's because they have tried to blend into the world before, and people continue to disappoint them. Jodi Picoult. Some nights are made for torture, or reflection, or the savoring of loneliness. Poppy Z. Bright. There is something immaculate about loneliness which only lonely people can understand. Nunya Khan. Coming home from very lonely places, all of us go a little mad, whether from great personal success or just an all-night drive. We are the sole survivors of a world no one else has ever seen. John Le Carre. Loneliness isn't about being by yourself. That's fine, right and good, desirable in many ways. Loneliness is about finding a landing place, or not, and knowing that, whatever you do, you can go back there. The opposite of loneliness isn't company, it is return. A place to return. Jeanette Winterson. I was lonely. I felt it deeply and permanently that this state of being on my own might never disappear. But I welcomed the loneliness, which had everything to do with being anonymous. It's never loneliness that nibbles away at a person's insides, but not having room inside themselves to be comfortably alone. Rachel Sontag. All great and precious things are lonely. John Steinbeck. Pretending to be happy when you're alone is an example of how strong you are as a person. Take care of your thoughts when you're alone, and take care of your words when you're with people. We are all so much together, but we are all dying of loneliness. Albert Schweitzer. By all means use sometimes to be alone. Salute thyself, see what thy soul doth wear. George Herbert. What a lovely surprise to finally discover how unlonely being alone can be. Ellen Burstyn. When we cannot bear to be alone, it means we do not properly value the only companion we will have from birth to death, ourselves. Hedda J. LaShan. It takes nothing to join the crowd. It takes everything to stand alone. Hans F. Hansen. If you smile when you are alone, then you really mean it. Andy Rooney. I think it's very healthy to spend time alone. You need to know how to be alone and not be defined by another person. Oscar Wilde. In the solitude of your dreams grows the flame that will bring the light to this world. Unknown. I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is ending up with people who make you feel alone. Robin Williams. I think it's good for a person to spend time alone. It gives them an opportunity to discover who they are and to figure out why they are always alone. Amy Sedaris. The strongest man in the world is he who stands most alone. Henrik Ibsen. The only time we waste is the time we spend thinking we are alone. Mitch Albom. Sometimes you need to be alone. Not to be lonely, but to enjoy your free time being yourself. It takes a strong person to remain single in a world that is accustomed to settling with anything just to say they have something. Anonymous. You can't be strong all the time. Sometimes you just need to be alone and let your tears out. Unknown. We're born alone, we live alone, we die alone. Only through our love and friendship can we create the illusion for the moment that we're not alone. Orson Welles. Being alone never felt right. Sometimes it felt good, but it never felt right. Charles Bukowski. Loneliness adds beauty to life. It puts a special burn on sunsets and makes night air smell better. Henry Rollins. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Gautama Buddha. I tell you, loneliness is the thing to master. Courage and fear, love, death are only parts of it and can easily be ruled afterwards. If I make myself master my own loneliness, there will be peace or safety, and perhaps these are the same. Martha Gellhorn. You have to go ahead, even if no one goes with you. Lela Gifty Akita. When I get lonely these days, I think, so be lonely, Liz. Learn your way around loneliness. Make a map of it. Sit with it, for once in your life. Welcome to the human experience. But never again use another person's body or emotions as a scratching post for your own unfulfilled yearnings. Elizabeth Gilbert. If one is lucky, a solitary fantasy can totally transform 1,000,000 realities. Maya Angelou. You are never alone. You are eternally connected with everyone. Ahmed Ray. Loneliness is the human condition. Cultivate it. The way it tunnels into you allows your soul room to grow. Never expect to outgrow loneliness. Never hope to find people who will understand you, someone to fill that space. An intelligent, sensitive person is the exception, the very great exception. If you expect to find people who will understand you, you will grow murderous with disappointment. The best you'll ever do is to understand yourself, know what it is that you want, and not let the cattle stand in your way. Janet Fitch. Find company within yourself and you'll never spend a day alone. Find love within yourself and you'll never have a lonely day. Connor Chaffant. We have to dare to be ourselves, however frightening or strange that self may prove to be. May Sarton. The best remedy for those who are afraid, lonely or unhappy is to go outside, somewhere where they can be quiet, alone with the heavens, nature and God. Because only then does one feel that all is as it should be. Anne Frank. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Mitchell de Montaigne. Stand up for what you believe in even if you are standing alone. Sophie Skull. Yet it is in this loneliness that the deepest activities begin. It is here that you discover act without motion, labor that is profound repose, vision in obscurity, and, beyond all desire, a fulfillment whose limits extend to infinity. Thomas Merton. Never search your happiness in others, it will make you feel alone. Search it in yourself, you will feel happy even when you are left alone. We need quiet time to examine our lives openly and honestly. Spending quiet time alone gives your mind an opportunity to renew itself and create order. Susan L. Taylor. Keep in mind that to avoid loneliness, many people need both a social circle and an intimate attachment. Having just one of two may still leave you feeling lonely. Gretchen Rubin. It is better to be alone than in bad company. George Washington. Surrender to the grief, despair, fear, loneliness, or whatever form the suffering takes. Witness it without labeling it mentally. Embrace it. Then see how the miracle of surrender transmutes deep suffering into deep peace. Eckhart Tolle. Sometimes you need to sit lonely on the floor in a quiet room in order to hear your own voice and not let it drown in the noise of others. Charlotte Erickson. The pain of loneliness seems to be part of the mortal experience. But the Lord in His mercy has made it so that we need never deal with the challenges of mortality alone. Sherry Aldu. If you are alone, you belong entirely to yourself. If you are accompanied by even one companion, you belong only half to yourself or even less in proportion to the thoughtlessness of his conduct. And if you have more than one companion, you will fall more deeply into the same plight. Leonardo da Vinci. When we cannot bear to be alone, it means we do not properly value the only companion we will have from birth to death, ourselves. Etta J. Lashan. Being alone and actually sitting with our own thoughts can lead to such growth and realizations that are rare in our everyday busy lives. Kourtney Kardashian. The woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before. Albert Einstein. Everyone's alone, or so it seems to me. They make noises and think they are talking to each other. They make faces and think they understand each other. And I'm sure they don't. Is that a delusion? T.S. Eliot. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Arthur Schopenhauer. Loneliness can be conquered only by those who can bear solitude. Paul Tillich. If one is lucky, a solitary fantasy can totally transform 1,000,000 realities. Maya Angelou. The eternal quest of the individual human being is to shatter his loneliness. Norman Cousins. It's easy to stand in the crowd, but it takes courage to stand alone. Mahatma Gandhi. The thing that makes you exceptional, if you are at all, is inevitably that which makes you lonely. Lorraine Hansberry. The price of being a sheep is boredom. The price of being a wolf is loneliness. Choose one or the other with great care. Hugh MacLeod. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Loneliness has become the best friend of my soul. It teaches me to stay high-spirited even in low times. There is nothing outside of yourself, look within. Everything you want is there, you are that. Rumi. The silence of loneliness is a bliss to my soul. Be strong enough to stand alone, smart enough to know when you need help, and brave enough to ask for it. Tim Fargo. I restore myself when I'm alone. Marilyn Monroe. Only the self-sufficient stand alone. Most people follow the crowd and imitate. Bruce Lee. I'm learning a lot about myself being alone and doing what I'm doing. Chantal Kreviazuk. I am not alone. I have birds singing for me. I have trees providing me shadow. I have sunshine to make me glow, and rain to bless me. It is important to find a break sometimes to see the beauty of the world with your own eyes. As I get older, I'm more and more comfortable being alone. Sienna Miller. Thank you so much for watching Life Happens YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe for more quality content.